So one thing we've learned in our personal journey, in our career journey, in our leadership journey is the critical, crucial, cannot be overstated importance of relationships. And that's what we want to talk about today. Welcome to the M Squared Leadership Conversation, a space where we talk honestly about the real challenges leaders face and what it actually takes to lead well in the real world. I'm Michael Hales.
I'm Michelle Hales.
Welcome in. We're glad you're spending a few minutes with us today.
Yeah.
This is going to be a little bit different than we normally do. I've got my computer, but it's mostly for in-the-moment research kind of purposes.
Right.
We are totally unscripted today. And we were just sitting around yesterday having another one of our leadership conversations, because that's what we do. It was just off camera and very casually sitting out by the pool. And we were considering what we wanted to talk about today for this session to be recorded. And Michelle just kind of out of the blue said, what if we just sit down, roll the cameras, and just really unpack the importance of relationships? And so that's what we're going to do today. I hope you enjoy it and get something out of it.
Yeah.
We always do. We get into these conversations regularly, and that's what kind of sparked the idea for us to do this on camera to share with you guys, is we have such good, deep, meaningful conversations among the two of us, and we learn and grow from these. So we thought maybe that would translate to you.
Why not offer that to you, get you a little inside glimpse to what it kind of looks like when Mike and I sit down and just start pondering life in general and the leadership things that we're going through, the challenges that we're facing. Because let's face it, we're still growing as leaders, and we face challenges, and we try to find solutions to them or navigate the best way to handle. And I think what led to us really, Mike, talking about relationships and just getting back to the basics, that everything hinges on relationships, is because we started this leadership consulting business about a year ago, just a little over a year ago. And we didn't know what we were doing. We thought we kind of knew what we were doing, and then we realized we have no idea what we're doing.
But here's something important that came out of that. I was having this conversation with somebody just the other day, and it only then dawned on me how big of a really leap it was for me, because as we've said before, I did 25 years in federal government before moving into this. And you talk about going from one end of the spectrum to the other. Government, by its very nature, is very slow moving, kind of ponderous, and it has to be that way. It's not, I'm not here to throw rocks at government. You don't need government being all unstable and chaotic and willy-nilly. So it's very slow moving and deliberate and ponderous and all of that, to now being an entrepreneur, which is just like diametrically opposite. You have to be nimble, you have to learn on the fly and make it up as you go, and it's just a really big change.
We thought it was going to be a natural next step, but we didn't know what we were getting into, honestly.
Yeah.
But as we were building the business, and then we recently put on a leadership conference. What are we doing? We put on a leadership conference in our first year of business. Okay, that was probably, but we've been taking big risks and doing big things for us. And the success has not come where we thought it would.
Yes.
So I think that's what prompted me to just say, we had a very successful leadership conference. But the reason that we did was based on the relationships that we had with those people in the room that came, that showed up for us. It wasn't because we had a really polished one-pager or amazing media that we put out there.
It wasn't slick marketing or anything.
It wasn't.
And nothing wrong with all that stuff. It's great.
think we need to look professional and have those things.
And we need to get better at that. That's one of the things we've realized we need to grow in.
But I think it really is amazing how much we just have utilized what we do know how to do, and that's be curious about people. We have gotten out there. That was a little bit of a challenge for us. Just
Incredibly
meeting,
daunting.
going
for
into
me.
new, industries, areas, clubs, that sort of thing, and trying to get in the mix to get to know people in the business arena. But our heart has always been, hey, we want to serve where we live. And so we live in Rankin County, Mississippi. And so we just started meeting people, and they're good people, and they realize, hey, y'all are good people too. And they've opened their hearts and they let us in. And then we've done the mastermind, our leadership lab, where people got to join, and we developed that relationship with those people, and not just learning, but we went and had coffee together, and we had, like a personal fun moment, and we've showed up at different events. And the leadership conference and where we are right now in our business, what success that we're having is just come from relationships.
And who knew? You're exactly right in what you said earlier about the way this thing has evolved and the success that we've had, and not here to toot our own horns, and we're certainly not where we want to be.
Sure.
We are imagining much bigger things and growth and all of that. But the success that we've had has not showed up like I thought it would. It's not looked like what I thought it would look like. And who knew, maybe I should have known, but who knew that just doing the thing and being ourselves and getting out there and rubbing shoulders with people would be kind of the thing that opens doors. And you're exactly right. It's the relationships, and I'd take it a step further. It's the friendships that we built with most of the people. I'll say a large percentage of the people who showed up at the conference are people that we've made friends with.
Yes.
People that we've invested a little effort and a little time and a little.
Almost every one of them, either you or I have had coffee with, or we went to lunch. We broke bread with them. We've listened to them. We've heard some of their vulnerabilities. We've shared, hey, we're vulnerable. We're trying to do this. And also, I think we naively thought that, number one, that everybody knew John Maxwell. We're like, he's so big in our world. He's such a giant in our world that we thought everybody knew him. And if we just say his name, and a lot of people do, but we thought we just say his name and we're certified with him. Like we've gone through his, program, that we've become certified with his company, and that we continue to learn and rub shoulders with them and his mentors that he has in his company. We thought that was going to give us a pass.
Yeah.
We thought it was going to give us like this inroad and make us successful. And that's part of it, but only because we've applied what we've learned.
I think that's so important, and it's tempting. I know it was tempting for us. It's still tempting for me to think that, there's some additional certification out there. There's some additional accolade that I can gain and tack on to the end of my resume, and Michael Hales, certified leadership coach, Michael Hales, certified in blah, 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 blah. And you think that is there's just this one more thing that I need that's magically gonna unlock all these opportunities and all of this. And maybe there is, and I just haven't found it yet, okay? But I don't think it's out there.
Yeah,
I don't think there's a magic bullet credential that you can achieve that's going to just get you there, get you at the table, get you in the room. I think it's showing up and repeatedly doing these little things that we're talking about, building these relationships. And you never know, you don't go in building relationships because of what you might get out of it. Okay, that's the wrong motivation. But if we can lay that aside for a moment, you never know the next person that you're going to meet that's going to just, that's when the flood, It's not what you know so much as who you know. And of
Yeah.
course, nobody wants to hire a leadership consultant that doesn't know leadership.
So what you were just saying made me think about, I follow Vanessa Van Edwards, who is kind of a communications expert. And one of the major things that she pushes, like when you're trying to give a presentation, is you need two things. You need warmth and competency. And that's
You're not going to get very far with just warmth and no competency, because then it's going to become clear that you're shallow.
yeah,
You
you
don't
just,
have anything
well,
to
and you
offer.
just need to be coffee buddies if that's the case.
Right.
But competency definitely has to be there. So I'm all for more certifications, and that's
Absolutely.
where you lean to that a little bit more because
do.
you're in academia. You just love that. But I know whenever I'm meeting people, and you and I both are like this, we just want to know, who are you? What do you do? Like, what's your background? But then it's not enough for that. Like, we always want to know, well, who's your family? What's your family? Where were you raised? How did you, where did you go to school? We want to know more about their life. And people love that because they want to be seen.
And to your point, which you're kind of fleshing it out anyway, but just to tie it back to the thing you were saying about Vanessa Van Edwards, you got to have warmth and competency. And we decided that warmth with no competency is not good. That's not the answer. That's not what people want. But the reverse is also true. If you're all competency and you don't have that warmth, and you're not able to connect with people and build relationships and demonstrate yourself to be a friend and to be all the things that come with that, that's not going to resonate with people either. They're not looking for that. I mean, maybe in an institution of higher learning, maybe your college professor, you don't really care to be their best friend or something, but people you want to do business with, and I'm thinking of somebody right now. I'm not going to call names, but it won't take you long to figure out who this is. We're considering a big decision, and there's plenty of people out there who would be competent to help us with this thing that we're considering. And at a certain point, it's like everybody's on a level playing field in terms of, okay, maybe there's degrees of expertise, but it's all pretty much the same. It's the relationship that's going to make a difference there, and it's the relationship that's pushing us in one particular direction of this one person to do business with. It's not that this person is any more astute in their area of expertise than probably a handful, at least a half a dozen others that we have met and could tap into, but it's the relationship that makes the difference, and that's a big deal.
And with that person, we lack vulnerability with each other. Like, we don't know that person very well. We got to thinking about it, and we're like, is that person married? Does that person have children? We started thinking about those kinds of things, and we didn't really know. And there was something that's, like, kind of off a little bit. It's not like something's wrong. This person is very competent in their area of expertise, but it was like, and then it dawned on us that, we just don't know each other really well. And so it's hard to fully trust when you don't know each other. And I'm not saying that when you're doing business with people or you're leading people that you have to know, the fuss that they had with their spouse last night or the arguments. Sure. We're not talking about that. But when you're leading people, they want to know that you care about them. They want to know they're in a trusted relationship with you. And that's what lets, the relationship, the business part of it, to grow, for them to trust you, for them to follow you, for them to commit to doing business with you. It's the relationship.
It's a relationship. Because there's kind of a fine line to walk here. You want to thread the needle of, you could easily swing this too far the other direction. You just talked about it. You don't, there's some lines professional lines you don't need to cross. Let's unpack that a little bit, because you want to show some degree of vulnerability so that you demonstrate that you're a real person
Right.
to other people. Nobody wants to, be led by or do business with a robot, but at the same time, you don't want to overshare and be just blah.
And there are times, and I'm thinking of somebody that I've worked with that, I mean, we in the office knew every detail of her life. And it was burdensome to know that many details. And it's just too much. It's too much to bear. It's like, hey, wait a minute. I have my own things that I need to deal with.
Yours.
I don't need that part of your life. But I think what I'm saying is like, hey, my mom's having a heart procedure next week and I'm kind of worried about it. As that comes up in the conversation, not just blurted out. But I think what I'm saying is this comes so naturally for me that I'm a very private person, but I just intuitively know when it's a good time to kind of share a little bit, because if you see them being a little bit vulnerable, then you can share as well. And you do have to kind of measure that, because everybody has degrees of what they share and their vulnerability. And one person's vulnerability, the fact that they told you that they're getting, just went and purchased a new car is very vulnerable.
Yeah.
Or that their business is struggling in this area. That's very vulnerable to them. Where other people, that ain't nothing. They'll tell you everything. So this is where emotional intelligence comes into play so
You beat me to
much
it.
because you've got to be self-aware and you've got to be socially aware.
Yeah, absolutely.
And those two, so if you're having trouble feeling like you're connecting and building relationships, I think it would be really good to go through like an emotional intelligence course and to dig into that and see what it really looks like. And then start practicing it. And the best place to practice is like with your family. Like you start practicing the emotional intelligence guidelines.
And we talk about this so often, it seems to come up in every conversation that we have, is the importance of curiosity. And I don't think you get very far in any area related to leadership unless you're curious about other people. I mean, we've said it before, leadership is not, there's something to be said for leading yourself. Okay, we acknowledge that. But beyond that, leadership is exclusively about other people. And if it weren't for other people, there's a very limited amount of leadership that any of us would ever need.
Right.
So it's all about other people, and leaders don't just raise their hand and say, hey, I'm the leader, everybody follow me. If you do, you're not going to get very far. You go to where your people are, you find them and you marshal them and you bring them together and okay, now we're going somewhere. And the most important step in that, I think, is curiosity. And without that, you're just not going to be very effective at connecting with people and forming the kind of relationships that we are talking about today. So emotional intelligence is super important in that, because number one, you've got to be curious about your own self and figuring out how am I showing up for other people. And then with that self-awareness in the picture, now you can kind of turn that outward and become aware of other people and how they're showing up and what's going on with them and what is happening in their world, and kind of going to them in that way.
Yeah, that's so good. I love that. And I think back over conversations, and we've experienced this before. A lot of people are just not curious. They're craving to be heard and seen themselves.
Respected.
And respected, that they we'll reflect on conversations like after we've been to dinner with someone or something, and we're like,
How many times has this happened?
we asked all the questions. We got them talking about themselves, and they were happy to do it. And it was never, we love the friendships where people are like, well, what about you? Well, what happened? Have you ever done? And it, gives you a chance to share and whatever. And it's not about us,
No.
but it just goes to show that it's a skill that's actually kind of lacking for the most part. Is, just being curious about others. We're so hungry to be seen.
It's a skill that's lacking, but so importantly, it's a skill that can be learned.
Yes.
And it all starts with self-awareness.
Yes.
You got to understand, and you got to be tuned in, I guess is a good way to say it, on how am I showing up in this relationship.
Yes.
And just like you said, how many people, after they have dinner with somebody or a nice long visit or whatever, actually take the time to reflect back on that and say, how was that? It was great for us. I wonder how it was for them. And things like that. It's just,
and you can. That's what I was going to get to. I think if you think back on the conversations that you've had, you went to lunch, you went to dinner, you did something with somebody, you spent the day with them. How much talking did you do?
Versus how much talking did you allow them to do, or did you actually draw out of them?
Draw out of them.
The introvert extrovert angle comes into play here, because some people are energized when they get in a group and are in the mix with other people, and they'll just, it's not bad, it's just a personality, preferences. They're just talk. And other people, like myself, I'm an introvert, and I'll tend to, I'm very comfortable just sitting back and listening to everybody else. And I'll even, if they start to wind down a little bit, I find myself just kind of poking a little bit. I'm thinking of one particular friend, all it takes is a little bitty poke and he's off again. And I do that because that's what I'm comfortable doing.
Yeah.
But getting back to the point is those kind of things are all in the mix, and you got to watch that. You got to observe that stuff and see, is this productive, and are just everybody following our natural tendencies? Is that enough to make this relationship what it really needs to be?
Right.
Or do we need to make some adjustments along the way?
And you can't underestimate being a little bit prepared. A lot of times we just show up and we're going to let it be whatever it's going to be, and we take our little attitude with us if something happens along the way, and we don't stop and take a deep breath and be like, I'm not going to take this baggage into this dinner. I'm going to kind of do a reset.
But again, it's self-awareness.
It is. But being prepared, John Maxwell is who we follow a lot, and who is one of our mentors, and we've learned so much from him. He has intentional questions, a list of questions that he's going to ask.
Whenever he goes into a conversation, even if it's with family members sometimes. And I'm not saying he's never in the moment, but more often than not, according to what we've heard him say, he goes in with, I've got this that I can ask.
And one of the things that we've done when we've gone on vacations or cruises, or especially when we've done things with our best friends that we don't get to see very often, we'll have a list of conversation things. And along the way, we'll be like, I wonder what so-and-so thinks about that. And we would make notes. And like one time, cruise conversations and questions for, this friend or that friend. And I remember one of the most fun conversations that I had was, it was like a little quiz or something like, if you were an animal, what would you be and why, and that sort of thing. And I just did it with our teenage, young adult, going into adulthood, son, nieces, nephews, and when we were going to be on vacation together. And I just whipped them out like the first night we were sitting there. I think we were at Bubba Gump's on Universal on the boardwalk, and just pulled them out like, hey. And they had so much fun doing that little exercise and then like poking at each other. Oh yeah, I can see why you were that and this and that. And that's the kind of, instead of just letting the conversation be or not be, or everybody go into their phones.
Yeah.
Those are good little tips to help build the relationships, like with your family and that sort of thing. And then Dr. John Deloney puts out little cards. It's little questions, relationship cards. I bought a pack. I mean, Mike and I have been married 30 something years, but I just bought a little pack so we could go through them. And we'll do that like when we're on a drive. We'll like just bring the cards out and ask each other questions about the relationship. We hadn't learned a whole lot of new things from each other from those cards because we've been married so long.
We did have some good conversations.
We've had good conversations, brought back memories, that sort of thing. And I think that's what, I think my heart was going to yesterday when I said, why don't we just have a conversation on relationships? Because there's so many things you can do to build relationships when you just become a little bit intentional.
It's almost like we've been married 35 years and we kind of tell where each other are going. I was just going to talk about the importance of intentionality, and it applies in so many areas of life, not the least of which is relationships.
Yes.
And we've said this already, but it bears repeating, I think. It's not to suggest in any way that you never are in the moment and just let things happen. Of course you need to do that, but being intentional shows up in the preparation way and in the being in the moment way. And you need to be intentional about, okay, if everybody gets ready, you can tell they're on the verge of pulling out their phones. Maybe I should have something in the hopper ready to stimulate conversation. But at the same time, when you have to be able to sense when you're moving into an unscripted moment, that this could be meaningful, and tag that and lean into it. Not everybody is aware enough that they sense and pick up on those things. And I think it takes some intentionality and some self-awareness and some situational awareness with those that you're closest to.
Absolutely.
To be able to do those things. And it's so important.
It is. And, just going back to the sitting at Bubba Gump's, asking them the little silly questions or whatever, they craved that the rest of the trip. Like, they're like, have you got any more questions? And I'm like over here, standing in line trying to Google more questions that we can, silly questions that would get conversations going.
So you should have prepared more.
I should have prepared more. I didn't know they were going to pull it out of me. But we've become the fun aunt and uncle to be around, and I love that so much. And not because of the gifts that we give or whatever, it's the time that we've invested with them. And that's so meaningful to me, that we've done those little things that built into somebody. And I think that's what fuels us to want to have better relationships with the people that we're meeting. How can we serve them? What can we put into them? What can we add? How can we add value? And honestly, it seems almost a little bit manipulative to prepare like what kind of conversations you're going to have and that sort of thing. Sometimes it can feel that way for people that aren't used to doing those kinds of things. With every dinner or meeting or whenever you're going to be with people, you should be thinking about what do I want to get out of this, and how can I add value to the people that I'm going to meet today.
If you think about it, it's really a sign, a show, a display of the depth of your care and concern. You cared enough to prepare something in advance. Come on. I mean, that's so good. And I want to make this point too. I hope this is not coming off as us sitting here wanting to brag to you about how good we are at relationships. It's not that. I'm so grateful because this is not all stuff that we just always knew.
No, we've not always done this.
Fortunate and so blessed to have been in situations where we were able to learn these things that we're sharing. And that's our goal here, is we've realized how much we've benefited personally and how much the relationships in our lives have benefited from these principles that we've learned and have figured out. We've scratched the surface. Okay, there's so much more, but we've learned some things and have been able to put those into practice, and I'm so grateful for the benefit that it's
Absolutely.
had on our lives and our relationships,
Yes.
and we just wanted to share it with you guys.
Absolutely. And not to say that, every relationship we have in our life is perfect.
Of course not.
There's some lunches and dinners that we dread.
There's some I would love to fix.
But I think even talking now, I'm even more determined that the next time we meet, or visit with those particular
We
people,
can do better.
We can do better. We can, instead of just letting it go however it's going to go, we can plan a few questions that gets them talking about happy things and good things.
That's
and,
so good.
And know that even those relationships, and we're probably speaking about family or the friendships that you don't want to throw away just because they're headed south a little bit or something. Just planning those and still being willing to add value in those relationships that are not so fun, but they're kind of necessary.
And it's steering those conversations in a way that works for your partner in the relationship, works for the other person. It's not self-serving, and it's
Right.
not just I'm going to go in prepared so that I can get everything that I want out of this conversation. It's, I mean, you again. We talked about threading the needle earlier, and there's, kind of a balancing act to do between not sharing enough and oversharing. It's all trade-offs. You don't get to have, your privacy and share. You give up this to get that, and that's all about. Life is full of that in almost every situation, and so there's this give and take, and of course you don't want in a relationship, if you're always the one doing all the giving, that's not good either. You don't want to be selfish, and you don't want everything to be about you all the time, but at the same time you can't let it be all about the other person all the time either, or you're going to build up resentment and all those negative feelings, and it's going to be damaging to you. So try to find a middle, a kind of middle ground there that works for both parties involved. So it's not self-serving, but it's not, you don't martyr yourself either at the same time.
And I think sometimes when, it's significant relationships that you need to keep going out of honor or respect or that sort of thing. And you can plan some questions, of course, that would help the conversation be fun or take them down memory lane or that sort of thing. But every now and then, you may just have to say, well, I would love to tell you about what I've been doing.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Would you like to hear what I've been up to? Or, that sort of thing. And they probably do.
Yes.
They just don't know how to pull that out of you. They
So
don't know how to
good.
go there.
So good. And this goes to assuming motives,
Yes.
assuming other people's motives, which is so dangerous.
It's
We
so
don't need to do
dangerous.
that. And it's easy when in a situation where the conversation always seems one-sided, and it's like they just talk, and I never get to say anything about me. They probably haven't set out for it to be that way. It's just naturally
No.
gone that way. We've kind of seen that in our relationships, and we realize coming out of a conversation that, man, we didn't get to say anything about what we got going on. Well, it wasn't really their fault because our natural vibe is to keep them going once we get
Right.
and we naturally do that, and that makes it hard for them
But-
to stop and ask us what's going on with us.
Yeah, but just think about, when you're trying to do that balance and, thread the line and everything, you can do, if one of our friends said, hey, can I tell you about what we've been, you would be like, absolutely, yes, I would
course,
love to
of
hear that.
course.
And just know how somebody else might feel, if you excitedly wanted to share what you've been doing, or let me tell you about my day, kind of thing. And it helps you to be able to have a voice and feel good about the conversation too. And it might help them be like aware, hey, yeah, I want to hear about what you've got
And
going on.
that's perspective taking as well. That term came up in a conversation with our son just last night. And it's something that a lot of people have trouble with, but it's, again, not that hard. It's a learned skill.
Right.
And it's putting yourself in the other person's place. And if I were in this conversation, if I were them, what would I want to happen? Would that probably land well with me if I volunteered? And sometimes you have to volunteer something about me that they may be interested in, may want to hear. So Michelle, I know we've been going a while here. We probably need to find a runway and try to land this plane. What are your takeaways from the conversation? And
I
where we go
mean,
from
I
here?
actually think and this is why we talk like this. Hope you've enjoyed how our brain works when we get going and where it will weave to. We navigate, challenges as well. We're having to navigate challenges as well. It's not like we have it all together. We do
Oh,
not.
please don't make that mistake. We do not have it all figured out.
And, as we were sitting here, there's a few times that, I've just kind of gotten a lump in my throat because I've not been doing as well as I could in some of my more challenging relationships. I can do better. And sometimes I've been focused on, I'm not getting this out of this relationship. And it's so frustrating to me.
We all do that.
And I feel bad, I feel a little remorse about that, and I just want to work harder. And I think if that's one thing that you can get from any of our conversations, is that we all have room to grow, and the relationships are the foundation for anything we really want to achieve in life. It's all going to start with a relationship.
100%.
Because we can't do life without others.
Yeah. And if your relationships aren't what you would really like them to be, I hope that maybe something we've said has inspired you. Because here's the most important thing. We've learned and we've grown in how we nurture and maintain our relationships. You can do that too.
Yes.
It doesn't just happen just because, oh, wouldn't that be nice if such and such happened? But by being intentional and by, being deliberate and doing things on purpose, you can grow, you can get better at
You
anything
absolutely
that
can.
you're working on.
And that's one of the things that we even offer with our consulting business is coaching and one-on-one sessions.
100%.
And we'll help you through conversations like this where you want to be somewhere, but you're not quite sure how to
that's
get
so
there. That's one of the things that we love to do is identify the obstacles and the opportunities that you might have. So, to navigate through. And we don't have all the answers, but you probably have more of the answers than
Absolutely.
you even know.
We'd love to help you find
And
them.
we can help you navigate those. So
Dig
if
those
you ever
out.
need us, just check us out, m2-lead.com.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks everybody so much for spending a few minutes with us in the M Squared Leadership Conversation. Michelle, leadership isn't about having all the answers, as we always say. It's about being willing to ask better questions. So until next time, stay curious, lead well, and let's keep the conversation going.
Bye, you guys.